Hi, I'm Sunny Bottoms, and this is Between Two Levies. Today is part 2 with Dr. Jason Norsworthy, and hopefully you saw part 1, but we'll continue our discussion today of rice weed control. So I've gotten a few questions this year on tank mixes or including like a grass herbicide in the Previsia / Max A systems, just to kind of help reduce some of that pressure, because if they are going after weedy rice, what are your thoughts on how to bring another product in there to help those systems?
Well, I've gotten some of the same questions. I've had folks ask me, well, what about putting a rice star in there? What about putting a clincher in there? And, you know, the first thing is, unfortunately, I don't have any data today where I've tank mixed clincher or I've tank mixed rice star. That's something that we probably need to do. The rice star would definitely scare me. Mm-hmm. And the reason the rice star would scare me is, and you're quite aware, the rice star has a safener in it. Mm-hmm. For instance, if I move over to the high card system or the Max A system, there's a safener in there. And I think if we start putting safener on top of safener, we're going to see a tremendous reduction, not only in our barnyard grass activity, but you're going to see it also on the weedy rice. So I would definitely advise folks to stay away from that.
Yes, I've had calls on that, and that was my advice to them was probably, I mean, if they're doing it as a separate application, that's completely fine. But if they're tank mixing it with a high card or something like that, I do think we could have some issues with that high safener amount.
Well, I know there was a lot of work that went into the initially identifying the amount of safener, and just talking to Ford Baldwin on that. Ford tells me that, you know, first go, they kind of missed it and had too much safener in there. And with that, you basically, again, lose the efficacy.
Right.
And you definitely don't want to do that. But, it's the main thing I would tell folks, and they need to understand, is overall, I'm of the opinion looking at my data, that Quizalofop, which is the Previsia or the high card, that is a much better herbicide on weedy rice than it is on barnyard grass. Not saying that it doesn't work on barnyard grass, but it's a better weedy rice material than barnyard grass. And so what we can't do is we cannot sit and wait until we have 4-leaf, 5-leaf barnyard grass and think that we're going to come in with something like a high card and control it. So what I've been encouraging folks to do is make sure that they're timely. If they need to get out there with a clincher, if they need to get out there with a rice star, even if it is Previsia or Max Ace rice, going out there early with those if need be, and then use your high card followed by another high card application.
That makes sense. So shifting our focus, we've talked about weedy rice. Bringing that up, and that's typically why because Clearfield was out for quite a long time, Clearfield and Full Page, which were Emmy tolerant varieties and worked well for a long time.
And now, longer than what we actually thought.
I really didn't think it would last this long, but it did last. It lasted quite a while. So now we have those Previsia Max A systems. So what additional advice, I know you had talked about the grass control in it, but as far as helping get that weedy rice, like managing escapes and things like that, what are some things?
Well, so the one thing is I advise folks with the Previsia and with the Max A system that remind them of, it's not Clearfield. You know, when we actually applied New Path or we apply Preface, we were laying strong residual going into that flood. We don't have that option. You know, and I think also we've gotten a tendency, just as I look across the state, it seems like to me over the last 15, 20 years now, we don't flood rice as early as what we once did. And so what I just tell folks is,
I kind of blame that on the Clearfield.
Well, I blame it on that's what I was going to say. I think the Clearfield, the residual opportunity that we had, and then I hear folks also tell me, well, I'm seeding at such these low seeding rates, and I want to give rice every opportunity to tiller. And with that residual, you had that, but we don't have that residual. They need to understand Previsia high card is not providing any residual control. And so for that reason, I think being able to flood up on smaller rice, 4-leaf rice, especially where I've got these fields that I'm confident I can flood, not put that rice underwater. Go on and get those sprayed, get the water on it as soon as possible. And I mean, there's a fit also, and I continue to recommend. There's Rogue. Rogue's is a product that your company has, and it's a very good fit on some acres. There's some acres that it doesn't have.
Yes, I probably tell more people not to use it because they don't have the correct acreage.
That's exactly right. We see tremendous value in our plot work where we have Rogue behind there, because one thing is for certain that we're seeing is where we've had rice on rice on rice. We ran through the clear field, and unfortunately, we had high weedy rice populations, and then we switched over to Previsia, we switched over to Max Ace, and we have very quickly gone to resistant populations in those fields. And unfortunately, there's nothing I see in this pipeline, at least short term, that we're going to have that's going to address this.
Right. So, okay. Well, Jason, I appreciate you letting me come up here and take part of your time and part of your day.
I really enjoyed it.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right.